Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Foxborough's August 4th Board of Selectmen meeting. At 6:30, we're going into executive session for a half an hour to approve the executive session meeting minutes, and those will be dated July 7th, May 12th, is it May 12th? Yeah. And the 15th, March 3rd, and the 15th, and January 20th, 2015. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's try that again. July 7th, 2015, May 12th, 2015, March 3rd, 2015, and January 20th, 2015. And then we have about 2 hours scheduled of regular appointments, which I will read when we come back at 7 o'clock. So to go into executive session, we need a roll call. Motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Motion made, seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
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 Okay, and yes, so 5-0. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Foxborough's Board of Selectmen August 4th, 2015 Board of Selectmen meeting, which coincides with National Night Out tonight, and 2 days into Purple Heart Week, so very lucky tonight. I'll go over the agenda briefly, and to let you know, we had an executive session at 6:30. We just concluded, and it was to simply approve executive session meeting minutes. So at 7 o'clock, we're going to have citizens input. At 7:00, and anyone that's comfortable bringing up something that wasn't reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. At 7:05, Selectmen's update. At 7:10, we've invited Roger Hill, our DPW director, to discuss the Walnut Street intersection with 140. At 7:20, we have a public hearing for CBS scene, discussion and the vote on an entertainment license edition. At 7:25, CBS scene again for a discussion vote of change of manager. At 7:30, NPS LLC will have a public hearing to discuss and vote on the Monster Energy AMA Supercross application 2016. At 7:40, very honored to have Michael Johns, our VSO, Veteran Service Agent of Foxborough, with a Purple Heart ceremony, and many of the recipients will be here tonight. At 7:55, Red Robin is on the agenda for a discussion and vote of change of manager. 8:05, we will have a discussion. Bill Keegan, our town manager, is not here, but we'll still have the discussion and on the Economic Development Committee, and I think appoint a committee a group for the committee. At 8:15, Chief O'Leary is going to come in and discuss with us what they call a Smart 911 related to the cell phones. And at 8:25, we have a town manager's update. And Mary Beth, you'll be doing a town manager's update? Okay, very good. And then we have a bunch of action items and items at the end. So, Paul Dumas, would you like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, the loudest one out there?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you, Paul. Okay. So at 7 o'clock, anyone here for citizens input?
I am.
Very good. So if you can just introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Paul Duma. I live at 4 Adams Street, Foxborough, Mass. And I am the commander of the Lawrence W. Foster Post 93 American Legion. And I came up tonight to watch the Purple Heart ceremony. But more importantly, I want to thank each of you selectmen individually and collectively, as well as the administration and the Veteran Service Officer, for how much you do for veterans in our town. Many of you know I travel all about the state, and there's no town our size that does more for veterans than this town. And I am so proud to be a resident, and I want to say thank you to all of you.
Thank
you, Paul. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. Thank you. That was very kind. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Well earned.
Okay, seeing nobody else, just a quick under Selectmen's update, just a couple notes. I want to extend a thank you to Lauren Iliopoulos, Am I saying that right?
It's pretty much
yeah.
right on.
She's president of Hero Helpers of America, and also to VSO, our VSO, Foxborough's Veteran Service Officer, Michael Johns, for organizing on short notice last weekend a tribute on the Common for the 5 servicemen and their families, is what I'm saying, that came together. It was a nice showing. And when I say community coming together, it was Foxborough, but it was other towns that came. And for the people that came, hard to explain, but it was a well worth the hour and the experience to see so many people come together for those Marines. So thank you to both groups and all the volunteers that came and the military people that came. Just to give you a kind of heads up of some of the meetings that are coming up, we meet every 2 weeks, and we're going to be meeting on a couple separate meetings over the next couple weeks. I think sometime next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to be meeting with the Permanent Building Committee to discuss Town Hall, get us up to date on that and see how the numbers are with that process as it goes towards the town meeting schedule. And then, John, I think you spearheaded the next meeting, August 27th.
It's going to be the 20th, so it was the 28th, now it's the 27th.
27th, okay. And that was something that we started on July 17th with the planning board, and it's to discuss the water and sewer, the expansion of sewer, but sit together with the planning board, the Board of Health, and the Water and Sewer Commission to collectively look at where the sewer is going in town and how we can kind of work together. And then next week, not forgotten, but the marijuana dispensary process is going to be presented to us by our town council. And there's a couple items that collectively he's putting together, so he'll be here at the next meeting on the 18th. It's nice to see the Sharon Wasson Pavilion donations starting to come in. There's a few that we're going to accept in tonight's package, but not forgotten. The bids were out. We got some, sent it back out with some changes, so that process is going pretty well. Little shame tonight, we had the National Night Out, which is across the country. We had police, fire, a group called RAFT, which is Raising Addiction Awareness of Foxborough, the JC's, HUGS, the Child Sexual Abuse Awareness Committee. It lasted all of 10 minutes, and then the downpours came, and it's a shame. So we were collectively talking a little bit next year. This is, I remember last year, many of us went, and then it got cut short because we had a meeting. We're going to try to coordinate a little bit differently than that next year. But it's a good community safety night. So if you're hearing about it next year, bring the family. It's worth it. Flagpole. We're going to put that on the agenda next meeting on the 18th. That's something that Roger's been starting to look into the price. Hopefully by the 18th we'll have a cost, some estimates. Jack Othlet's been kind of brought that to our attention, and I didn't realize it was that bad till I went out there. And you go up about 20 feet, and the rust goes right through the pole, and you can see it shaking at the top. So it's timely. And I was very happy to see we got our first donation in today, and I'll publicly recognize this gentleman. He sent it in to Jack. It was a $100 donation from Bob Paley, and he's a resident of Foxborough. So it's nice to be recognized and nice to be first. So if you have the urge to make a donation, contact any of us, contact someone at Town Hall, write Town of Foxborough Flagpole. Randy Scollins in the finance department is setting up a separate account, so we're going to track everything that comes in. Once we get the estimates, we're going to do a push, and hopefully sooner than later we'll have a new flagpole. It's somewhere going to be probably between 90 and 100 feet. That's out there now. So, and one last thing, there was an email that came in, and I think we should ask Randy to come in to kind of talk about it. The Standards & Poor's, the S&P rating, reaffirmed that Foxborough is a AA+, and there's potential to go to a AAA. So AA+ is secured for a couple of years. But when we talk about community, it's all nice, feeling, but unless we have financial stability, it's kind of all for nothing. And the finance department did a nice job presenting it. And basically, if you look at the report, it talks about the stability and the programs and the process that Foxborough has. So, yeah, it doesn't go without a lot of effort. And just as you thank us for doing work with the veterans, the town hall staff and the finance department really does their work, and we should be grateful. So, if it's okay with the board, maybe have Randy come in and explain to us in layman's terms what that report means and how that works with all our bonds. So as usual, I'm a little long-winded on the citizens and selectmen's update. So at 7:10, right on the bat, right on the ball. So what this is this was kind of coming off of yet another accident that we had on Walnut Street and 140, going back years and years and years. There's always an accident. People jump on it and then disappears. So I talked to Roger, and I kind of know what you're going to do, but just so the people that know at home know, what our concern is what I'm thinking is Walnut Street and 140. It's one intersection, and you're crossing, 2 or 3 lanes to take a turn. There's the farm stand there, and then there's also the medical offices, which has specific clientele. But I also wanted to look at this. We've got the 40B on Fisher Street. We've got a 400-person office development that's coming online. We've got Foxfield Plaza, which is ran into problems last time on an intersection up, and you got 2 lights, Forbes, and a little bit further up. What I don't want is to just focus on this without looking at the big picture. So what we're hoping is you can kind of give us an aerial 30,000-foot view down, and then what I've seen, and maybe you have the same experience, it's very difficult to work with state mass highway right now because it's kind of a skeleton crew. But whatever process we can get in, if it starts with a letter from the selectmen, but have the planning board, the different boards, the state reps, sit down with Mass Highway and say, why can't this intersection be fixed year after year after year? So, we only had you on for 10 minutes, but if you could just kind of give an overview.
Yeah, just not the aerial so we can all get a good picture of the intersection. This is north, 140 going north, and this is Walnut Street coming down. The farm stand's right there. And what I did is I kind of looked at the geometry of that intersection today, and it's a very acute angle intersection, as you can see. If you're coming down,
Just use a mic, just in case.
if you're coming down Walnut Street and you want to make a right turn and go south or go north, you have problems because you have to stop here, and then you've got to find a break in the lanes that are coming toward you, and you got to get across, and the median's very narrow on both sides, so there isn't a refuge for that car out in the middle. So he really has to go 250 feet to merge into the traffic that's going northbound.
And actually, Roger, that's actually a blind spot. If you're sitting in that intersection, you can't see what's coming.
I know. And the other problem is that the speed limit there is 55 miles an hour on 140. So I did a little geometry calculation, and I found out that it takes the average driver 12.5 seconds to get to merge safely into the traffic on the other side because of the acute angle.
So that's after he goes in, turns, and then speeds up?
As soon as he stops at that intersection, and then he decides, okay, I got a break, I'm gonna go, he's gonna be exposed for 12.5 seconds to cars coming both ways. And that's far too long. It never should have been built the way it was built. When they built 95, they severed Walnut Street up at Central Street. It used to go right out to Central Street. That's why I brought the right-of-way maps, because what we have there now is just a little, about a 30-foot easement that carries power from the end of Walnut Street out to Central Street. But the big picture is that there's a number of alternative ways that this thing could be worked. All of them are difficult. All of them require relocation of parts of Walnut Street. And all of them are going to run into serious bread because anything you do today that requires land takings is going to run into money. And it's not a job for the town, it's really a job for the state, as we talked about on the phone. And right now the district has lost 55 of their good employees. So they have a bunch of young people down there now, and it's not going to work with us trying to work with the district. We need to go much higher. And it's going to take the people of Foxborough to do that, and our representatives and senators and everybody else. I think we need the lieutenant governor or the governor to help us with this. I think there's a good reason for it, and but we need to start somewhere. We need to come up with some alternatives. And as I say, it's not just Walnut Street. We're talking another problem at Central Street. too many intersections in between with driveways and ins and outs, and the speed limit's kind of high there. I understand when you get down to 95, you want to be cruising because you want to go up the ramps and get on, but there's over 1,200 feet between this intersection and the ramp that goes up to 95 south. So you get, I'm sorry, this way. You get plenty of time, and you could right angle this part of Walnut Street. That's one alternative, and you know, make the median wide right down to the intersection, so it's a refuge median. If you get halfway across and the cars are coming the other way, it would give you a chance to get out.
Now, Roger, there is one of those, if you're heading left onto Walnut, and I thought that was a good idea to put one on the other side, so at least you can, you know,
Yeah.
tuck yourself away.
Yeah, temporarily, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, that's just one way to do it, though. Another way is close the median and do left turns, right turns only. And that's very inconvenient for people who want to come down Walnut Street and turn left. I mean, you just don't want to do it. But the bottom line is it's going to save lives doing that, because if they're all left turns, the problem is you've got a traffic generator down here that has 2 peak flows every day.
With the medical?
The medical
Yeah.
office, yeah. And I haven't done any counts out there yet, but they prove wise for us to, we can get help doing the counts from the MAPC, and they do it all the time. They'll help us. They did some counts up at Central Street for us just recently, so.
Yeah, Roger, can I just make a comment? When you talked about counts, I mean, I live near Walnut Street.
Mhm.
If I go down Walnut Street, I only go to take a right. You know,
Yep.
the only time I would take a left is when it's not busy. So actually, when you do a count, that really won't be very, it would be somewhat reflective of the possible traffic, but not really. Because if there were a light there, and if I could easily and safely take that left from Walnut Street with a large, I would do that more often, instead of going all the way up to the center of town and coming back.
So that's another alternative, is a set of lights, you know, signalize the intersection. And there's a few others. I thought about, you know, why is the 55-mile-an-hour sign way down by the entrance to the state salt pit there?
Yep.
You know, I mean, why not move the 55-mile-an-hour sign up to here?
Actually, if you got rid of the 55 mile an hour and brought it down to 40, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not a highway. It shouldn't be a highway.
Right. That's another alternative. Another alternative is to make a deal with somebody up at the other end of Walnut Street and open it up onto Central, so you give the people in the medical facility another alternative, right?
So they could exit it right
Yeah,
onto
they can
Central?
exit onto Central Street and go either way,
Mhm.
and it's much easier to go down Central Street, and if you want to get back on 140, you can cut through Judge Warren and Foxborough Boulevard,
Yep.
and then take Forbes right out to 140, and you got lights there. You can go either northbound or southbound.
Does that come out on Central Street in where the industrial stuff is, or is it
No,
residential?
it squeezes right up against the highway. There's a house, and then there's a little still a dirt road, and then there's the highway.
The fence for 95 runs right along the south side of the easement right now. And then there's a line of poles out in the middle. But we need to do a land taking there, because all that's there is an easement now. And, you know, I don't know how much room you'd have, but, you know, to do a road, you need about 40 or 50 feet. And Walnut Street's an old town road that really doesn't have a layout. It's probably a 33-foot, a 2-rod road, you know. But, you know, we could live with that, but we're gonna have poles on one side, because those are high-tension poles going through there, and they need to go out to Central.
Now, Roger, you said one, and I think Jim started it. If you were to, this is like a balloon. If you squeeze one spot, it pops out in the other
Pops up
spot.
in another place.
And if you, I don't know, is it possible, and I don't know if the state would get into this, but a comprehensive traffic study going all the way from the charter school to, say, 106?
It's a good idea.
Because there's, and factor in all the new developments that are gonna be placed on that
What
road.
I'd suggest, if we wanted to do that, is that we approach MAPC and ask them to help us out with it, you know? Because they have the counters, they have the traffic engineers, and, you know, they have cash to do it, so. And I don't want to get in line for it. What I'd rather do is, you know, just ask for help, and
Yep.
they did it at Central Street, and they may want to do it here. And Now we've got the counts at Central. And counts really are important because what you're looking for more than what's on Walnut Street both ways is what you're really looking for is the peaks on 140 because that's your worst time. And that's when you're gonna have your big accidents during peak. So you gotta look at those.
So Jay Barrows is well aware of it. I
Yeah.
had a long discussion, and his history goes back a lot further than mine on different scenarios that were tried in the past. So I would love to sit with him, Bill Greeter, Kevin
We should have a
Weinfeld,
group doing that.
because there's a lot of history with,
Yeah.
assessors maps and why decisions were made with the medical in the back.
Yep.
But at the very least, start some letter that addresses the concern, as John said, really from 106 all the way up to the charter school, because
Yeah.
you put a Band-Aid on the charter school with that turning lane, somewhat probably out of our jurisdiction, but you did it, and it made the world of difference. But anyone that wants to do development along this corridor, the state should be aware that, hey, here's the issue that Foxborough has, so they're not piecemealing all the,
And that's really what what in the past they have tried to do. They tried to mine the developers instead of taking the responsibility and saying, we gotta do a comprehensive
Yeah.
look at this. And
But
the town of Foxborough can be the catalyst to do the comprehensive look.
But I know what happened, the developer gets all the local approvals, and then our hands are tied, and they say, well, we'll deal with the state, and the state's only looking at this much.
Yeah.
And they put a Band-Aid on it too, and what works for one area makes the other area worse, and.
Exactly.
So can I just ask you, what, over the years, the state basically says, we're leaving it the way it is because the proximity to the on-ramp to 95?
I really don't know what their answers have been over the years, Jim. There's nobody down there left that was there, and when I worked here, I laid out this intersection in 1962, so it was all rock.
No, that was one of the things that they said, it was too close to the off-ramp from 95.
Yeah, if you had a light there, it would back up on the northbound off-ramp, depending on the length of the
It
light.
depends on the counts, and that's why the counts are so important. The peak counts, because if it backs up a little bit during a peak hour and doesn't go all the way up the ramp and block traffic on 95, and I've never seen it that bad there, and since I've been here for almost 4 years, so it may be feasible. And the other thing you can do is you can do a time signal and have the amber and green for Walnut Street, a short interval, because you don't have a lot of traffic on Walnut Street, and a long interval on 140, and that's another alternative. So
Right.
there's a lot of different things that we need to look at, and today we had the opportunity to have a staff meeting with the people that are developing Foxhill Plaza, and the state doesn't want a light at Foxborough Boulevard, because, and I understand why, it's because the stack between Foxborough Boulevard and 140 is very short. And you'd have two full signalized intersections within about 350 feet of each other. And the traffic that's backed up on that little interval that goes off the little piece of Forbes Boulevard would probably back up all the way to the lights during peak. So what they're looking at is they're looking at a roundabout as a solution. And that's not a bad idea because it keeps the traffic moving all the time. And people get used to them, they know how to drive them, and the one at Chestnut Street's really a good example of people learning and driving. And that's a tight roundabout. This one would be a lot bigger. And they own, the developers own quite a bit of land down there besides, so they got room to do it. And it's cheaper than a full signalized intersection to build too.
Yeah, the roundabouts are really becoming popular for traffic calming situations. We just got involved in a big one up on a project that we're doing up in Haverhill, so.
My office in Florida was the roundabout king of HDR, and I've done a lot of them.
Yep.
Roger, when you were talking about the counts, were you talking strictly 140 or?
All the lengths, we need to look comprehensive.
But is it 140, were you also going to do a count of Walnut Street?
Walnut,
Street?
Central, I think Forbes, I think even it'd be wise to do a count where the 40B is gonna access too. Fisher Street, I think that would be an important leg. And once they get the counts, they can model it and traffic models show you where your problems are.
But my concern about if you do a count on on Walnut Street, if you just take the actual count number, that really is not a real number, because, like I said, I would use Walnut Street more often, but I do.
If you could get out there.
If I could get out.
Yeah, but the traffic engineers can anticipate
Did
that too.
So that would be,
Yeah, that's
okay.
called generated traffic, and they come up with a way to do that, so.
Okay.
So Roger, can I ask you, from your experience and your position as DPW director, to put down a process
Sure.
that you're comfortable with, and then
Mhm.
start with this meeting, going up to meeting with the state, and coming up with some, even if it's just trace bubble diagrams to sit with the planning,
Yeah.
so we can kind of get our ducks in a row
Yep.
to go, and whether it's to get funding or to get approval or something.
Yeah.
But this is something that, and I'm just afraid we're gonna put it off too long, and then we're gonna be
There is no
sitting here
magic
after another
here, though.
accident. So can we shoot for the 3rd or 4th week in September to come
Yeah.
back in front of us?
Yeah, that'll work. We got most of the road work done. Got one project left, and, before the winter.
And one example you can use is the Pine Street example near Lafayette House.
Yeah,
That was always a dangerous intersection. And the reason the state said they wouldn't do a light was because of the counts. It didn't warrant a light. It wasn't until somebody got killed that all of a sudden a light was put in. And now Pine Street, a lot of people use that safely. So the question to the state should be, what are you gonna do? Wait till somebody gets killed at Walnut Street?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we go in there with a big picture look and some good data, we'll attract support, and that's what we need. We need support.
Hmm.
So.
Now, would the state fund the comprehensive traffic study for
I
that
think
length?
the MAPC will.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they will. And they have quite a bit of planning money for it. And Foxborough hasn't bled them too dry since the Common Project, really. We haven't done much with MAPC money since then, so, I think it's our turn.
Mhm.
Because in 1962, when that was laid out, I don't think the industrial park was even imagined.
Wasn't even thought of.
So I mean, the
I mean, this is
volumes
all-
that road is
this is all
taking.
woods, John.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so in the interest of time, so we can move on. Mary
you.
Beth, can you just pencil in September for?
Yes,
on that?
I did.
And,
Thanks,
Roger,
Jim.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
I apologize, we're a little behind. CBS scene, there's a public hearing. Can we read that into the record as they come up?
Board of Selectmen acting as the local licensing authority pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 140, conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, August 4th, 2015, beginning at approximately 7:20 PM in the Foxborough High School Media Center, South Street, on the request to modify the entertainment license of CBS Scene, Patriot Place LLC, doing business as CBS Scene, Patriot Place LLC, 200 Patriot Place, Foxborough, Mass. General Manager Rob Christensen. All interested parties are welcome to attend.
Thank you. So, again, the process for public hearing is we'll listen to the applicant, we'll discuss it, we'll hear from the public, we'll close it, and then open up for discussion and then vote. So, welcome. If you just introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. Stephen Miller, McDermott, Quilty and Miller. I have with me Chris Klein, who's the Assistant General Manager and is next on the agenda for approval to become the General Manager of Record for CBS Scene. We're here seeking your approval for an expansion of our entertainment license, and what we're seeking is twofold. We would like to be able to offer comedy shows on Friday and Saturday nights, and occasionally on a Thursday or Sunday night, but mostly on Friday and Saturday nights. And we'd like to be able to offer some musical entertainment, which we expect to be one afternoon or evening a week, occasionally twice a week. The musical entertainment would be in the form of a band not to exceed 6 pieces, and occasionally a single singer or a duo playing in the restaurant. most of you have been there or toured the facility, but there's no dance floor. There's no intention to put a dance floor in. This is, obviously the comedy entertainment wouldn't do that, but the musical entertainment is not to create any sort of dance club or that type of atmosphere. We don't expect to make any changes to the facility. Currently, our facility generates 65% of its revenue from food and 35% from alcohol. We don't expect to see any changes to that. This is just a further amenity for our customers and a reason to come out on Friday and Saturday nights mostly.
Real quick question, what's the breadth of your entertainment license right now?
The breadth is TVs, radio, background music.
That's it, okay.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything, or you're okay?
No, that's good.
You're okay?
Thank you.
And just, I missed it, are you the current manager or the one that we're gonna bring in?
The new.
You're the new
manager
manager.
coming in.
Hopefully,
Yes.
hopefully,
Yes, sir.
approvals
Hopefully
from new.
yeah, the next hearing. Anything from the board, questions? Comments?
Do you see your demographics changing?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Anyone else on the board?
What type of music is gonna be, like easy listening type stuff, or?
Yeah, mostly easy listening, classic rock, cover bands type things.
And this is, it's inside, but it also goes out onto the third floor patio outside?
We're asking for anywhere in the facility, yes.
Yes, sir.
You had said that you're looking for primarily Friday and Saturday nights, but your request for the license would be the 4 weekend days, Thursday through Sunday?
It would be the full weekend days. The only other days we may have it is occasionally we have functions that people request some entertainment. So we'd have the license for that. But the plan is maximum 2 days a week for any sort of musical entertainment, and then Friday and Saturday nights regularly for comedy entertainment, and occasionally on a Thursday night or a Sunday night possibly before a long weekend or whatever to expand the comedy. But the regular entertainment would be the comedy on the weekends.
But a private group could have a function on a Monday?
Well, groups have functions.
No, I'm just wondering if the license needs to be expanded to 7 days.
We would request 7 days if the board saw fit.
Is that your request?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this, so on the top it says 7-day entertainment license. Even though you spoke of a few days, it would be the entire week.
If there was any change for what we're telling you tonight, we'd come back and explain it to you. But right now, those are the plans, and we do not want to change the facility from what it is now. It's been very successful to anything other than what we've been successful with.
No, the reason for the question, Jim, is right now they have a 7-day entertainment license for the TVs and everything else. This is modifying it. I didn't know if they wanted to modify it, but putting constraints on the additions, the days.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, they would
Yep.
still have the same base license for the current operation. I just didn't know if you wanted to,
No, we would ask for the 7 days.
for the 7 days. That was my question.
Now, this form is a little antiquated, but we're going back to jukebox and things like that, but amplifier is not checked off, but you have cassette-operated TV. Amplifier, correct me if I'm wrong, is a speaker?
Yes, sir.
So you would not have any speakers?
They would actually have speakers there. They
Okay.
usually bring just a small speaker for the.
Okay, so I think you'd want to
Acoustic
change
set.
the,
Yeah, it should be changed.
Yes, sir.
yeah. So right now, the way it's applied for, you can't have speakers. And again, it seems a little antiquated on the,
Yeah,
you
the
can't have a
wording.
can't have a jukebox either.
And if you can find a cassette, good luck to
Yeah,
you.
a phonograph. Anyone else from the board? Questions? Is there anyone from the audience that would want to participate? Seeing none? Okay, no more questions. Do I have a motion
Make a
to
motion, we
close?
close the public hearing.
Okay, motion made to close, seconded?
Second?
Motion made. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And discussion? No discussion. Can we have a motion in the affirmative?
Make a motion, we approve the 7-day entertainment license application for CBS Scene Patriot Place LLC.
I'll second that.
And discussion, again, just to make it modify the with your approval, modify the application to approve speakers as a condition.
Thank you.
An amendment. Motion made with, it was seconded with the amendment under discussion. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I assume you're staying for the second one? So the second CBS Scene item is a discussion of vote of change of managers.
Once again, Stephen Miller, McDermott, Copley and Miller, and Chris Klein, who is currently the Assistant General Manager, and is seeking approval to become the Manager of Record and will become the General Manager. From his application, Mr. Klein has been working at the facility for approximately 1 year as the Assistant GM. Prior to his employment at CBS Scene, he was the Fleet Beverage Supervisor and Director of Restaurants for Norwegian Cruise Lines for approximately 10 years, and has moved to the Foxborough area when he became engaged and married, so off the boats and onto dry land. He is a certified TIPS instructor and has obviously vast experience in the industry working for Norwegian Cruise Lines in that capacity as a supervisor, beverage supervisor, and director of restaurants. And we would ask for your approval for Mr. Klein to become the new Manager of Record.
Okay. Anyone from the board? Discussion? Questions?
I just had a question. On your, under manager information, you said the number of hours per week you'll be spending at the licensed premises, you put 70 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a lot of hours. Is it,
Compared to my old job, that's actually very few hours, so.
oh, I mean, is that realistic? I mean, do you have like an assistant manager?
Not at this time. We are actively seeking one. So that will probably go down to probably about 40 to 50 hours once we hire a new manager.
Okay, how many hours is CBS Scene open per day? And, I mean, you'd be 7 days a week, but how many hours would it be open, where you would have to be there?
It's open about 14 hours a day to the public.
14 hours days?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm usually there for about half the day, plus obviously office work.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions or comments?
You a member of the Foxborough Cares group?
I will be.
Fox Cares.
I'll be joining that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Rob Christensen was an active member.
Okay. I'm good.
One question on item 3. There's a checkbox for, have you ever been convicted of a state, federal, or military crime? That's the only one that you left blank. And if the answer is yes, you have to attach an affidavit. Where
The answer is no.
Okay, for the record, so I think a condition would be, could you come back and amend that after and initial it?
Absolutely.
Anyone else from the board? Anyone from the audience on the change of manager? Seeing none. No more discussion. Can we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion, we approve the change of managership with Christopher Klein at CBSC.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much.
Very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jim. Probably have that filled out.
All right. How's that possible?
What date is it?
Same signature?
Looks different. You're looking at Red Robin, I think. Yeah, you're looking at Red Robin. Missed it.
Put your cheaters back on.
Where those ships
These
are.
are-
So save that question.
7:40. Oh, we're right on time now. Okay, Michael Johns, is he?
You missed
Now we get
Jess.
Okay,
MPS public
7:30.
hearing.
We are a few minutes late. Discussion and vote on the Monster Energy AMA Supercross application.
Public hearing, I need to open it.
Mhm.
Okay, the Board of Selectmen acting as the local licensing authority pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 181, and Section 183A, and Chapter 136, Section 4, Town of Foxborough Revised General Bylaws, Article 5 and Section 6, and also Stadium Rules and Regulations, will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, August 4th, 2015, beginning at approximately 7:30 PM in the Foxborough High School Media Center, South Street, to review the application submitted by NPS LLC for the Monster Energy AMA Supercross 2016. This event is proposed for Gillette Stadium. Application for this event is on file at the Office of the Selectmen. All interested parties are welcome to attend.
Thank you, and welcome. You want to
Thank you.
introduce yourself?
Jess Enos with Gillette Stadium.
And Joel Angelico, co-vice chair of the Stadium Advisory Committee.
Welcome.
So, different event to be before you with this evening. It's the Monster Energy AMA Supercross. This is essentially, it's dirt bike racing in the stadium. So this is coming to us from the same company that we work with for Monster Jam, which we've had at the stadium successfully now for 2 years. It's Feld Entertainment. We are requesting Saturday, April 23rd with an event start time of 6:30, an approximate end time of 9:30. It's all reserved seating in the stadium. Tickets run from $15 all the way up to $125, and parking is included in the price of the ticket. Estimated attendance is 40,000. Right now, we went on, part of the reason that I'm before you so early is this is part of a Supercross circuit that runs throughout the country. And so it goes on sale at the same time every year. It goes on sale the third week in April. So this event went on sale, so we applied for the license, and we're before you now. We don't have all of the event logistics completely nailed down. We'll be working through them in the coming weeks. We actually have a site visit with the Supercross staff next Tuesday, but because it was up, announced, and on sale, we wanted to get before the board and just sort of introduce the event because it is a unique one. There is a lot of crossover between this event and Monster Jam as well. So it's a lot of the same staff. Like I said, it's the same company. We're using the same dirt. They have all of the same safety procedures in place. So the 8 rows worth of kills. They operate as an OSHA construction zone during the load-in. The load-in schedule is also quite similar. It starts on Tuesday, begins with the same laydown on our field for a protective surface, and then we truck the dirt in. It's being stored across the street in one of our P10 lots. And all in all, I mean, we're excited. It's going to present some different operational challenges. There is a pit party element to this event, which will probably vary pretty significantly from what we did with Monster Jam. So that's kind of the biggest thing that we need to operationalize, is figure out the exact footprint of that space, when it'll operate, how it'll operate, because it serves, for Supercross, it serves as a true pit. So these riders will be competing in heats, they'll be racing on the field, and then they'll bring their bikes out and they'll need a certain level of service. And so the pit for Monster Jam, the pit is a little bit more of an entertainment zone. The pit for this event is actually a true sort of pit zone with an entertainment component. The way we kind of think of it is that Monster Jam is entertainment in sports, and Supercross is sports with entertainment.
Very well, thank you. Any, would you like to add something from the Stadium Advisory Committee?
No, we met, and there was 7 of the 12 members at the hearing, and we feel very comfortable that all public safety officials have come forward and supported the event. So,
very good, thank you. So anyone, comments, discussion from the board?
With the, you said parking is included in the ticket price. Does that mean that the satellite parking lots won't be needed?
They'll operate And they'll figure that out when we get closer to the actual event date, depending on what we've sold for tickets. Right now, sales are extremely low, and they typically pick up once spring hits. So whether or not the satellite lots will open, I think will be a decision that we make later on in concert with them.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? This is an exciting one.
You know, it really speaks volumes to the relationship that we've been building with Feld, and that they feel welcomed by the stadium, by the community, and it's exciting. We really are looking forward to it.
Okay, well, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that wanted to comment? Seeing none, back to the board. A motion to
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. Discussion on closing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing is now closed. Discussion?
When do you think you'll have all the logistics ironed out?
I think we're probably mid-September. Like I said, they're on site. They're actually flying out for a meeting next week, and then once we sort of get through the next few concerts, it's a little busy. The stadium in the month of August and the beginning of September. I think once that all settles down, by mid-September, we should really have everything set and in place.
And then, again, just for the record, we do have public safety, police, fire, board of health, all copied in here as having no issues. A motion in the affirmative?
You all set?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Monster Energy Supercross 2016 event application, subject to the condition that the stadium management agrees to provide the facilities, equipment necessary to perform their duties and fund the expenditures necessary to implement the public safety plan for the Patriots game are required by town official should be for the Monster Race Energy Supercross. Basically taking the wording of that paragraph from your
Right,
committee.
yeah, we discovered earlier today that we made a mistake.
Yeah, but, I mean, that basically
But thanks for pointing
covers-
that out for him.
Yeah. That covers.
That's a good catch.
Everything in case, plans
Yeah,
can't get worked out.
yeah, makes sense, especially where this is the first event.
Yeah.
Okay, so motion
I'll second
was
that.
made, seconded. Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great.
Best of luck, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have, we can invite Michael Johns, our Veteran Service Agent, Officer. Welcome, sir, and I think I'm gonna say less and just turn this entirely over to you. How's that?
If I could invite Selectwoman Jenny Capola up to assist me. So last year, Foxborough was declared a Purple Heart community, thanks to the good and hard work.
Michael, can I just stop you? There's a lot of people that are in and out. If there's seats open, if you wanted to come in and sit. Thanks. So I'm sorry. I'm not Paul Dumas. Dave. Hmm?
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, she want him in the hallway. Wow, thank you all for coming. It's nice to see everybody.
So we have a brief ceremony. We'd like to recognize 7 Purple Heart recipients, one of whom is with us this evening, the others represented by their families. So, when Ginny Capola calls your family member's name or your name, please do come up. Foxborough is a Purple Heart community, meaning that we've gone to the effort of identifying all of our Purple Heart recipients, recognizing them with pleasure, and this is at the the idea and the energy of the Board of Selectmen. As Commander Paul Duma mentioned earlier, there is no other community in the state that I'm aware of that recognizes its veterans, the veterans' family members, and the active duty members the way that Foxborough does. I'm very proud of that, and I know the folks that serve and have served are very proud of our elected officials and our administration. Thank you so much for that. With that, I'm going to ask Ginny Capola if she would read the names, and I'll present certificates, or vice versa, whichever you would like. Okay.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. We had 72 names last year, and Michael Johns has come up with an additional 7 names. These are Purple Heart recipients from the town of Foxborough. And as part of the Board of Selectmen, speaking for the Board of Selectmen, I'd like to thank everyone, the recipients for their service, and also thank the families for coming out in support. The first name is David M. Bent, United States Army, Vietnam, and his sister Mary Ann Forrest is here to accept the plaque.
Frank? He's looking for you. Wanna take some pictures?
Did you want to get any pictures, Frank, or did you want to wait till we get outside?
I can take a couple, but outside will be great. That's what I was planning on outside.
Oh, sorry.
But no, that's okay. Thank you very much.
So this is Mr. Bent's 2 sisters, and we thank you so much for coming.
You should stand up for this.
The next recipient is Carl Dadman, United States Army, World War II. His daughter and grandson, Jeff Dadman, will be accepting the citation.
Thank you very much.
The next name is George H. Hanson, Jr., United States Army, World War II. His wife, daughter, and grandson, Scott Romancier, will be here to accept the citation.
Scott, as you can see, is a Desert Storm veteran, and his words to me on the phone several weeks ago were, this kind of recognition in the community is a long time coming, and we're glad to recognize these Purple Heart recipients this evening.
Thank you so much. My grandfather would be very pleased and proud.
The next name is George S. Payson, United States Army, World War I. And I understand that there is no one from the Payson family to accept the citation?
So we've not been able to identify a family member, but we thought it was important to still recognize this man who was served honorably and was injured during World War I, and posthumously received this medal. So this will be on display in Memorial Hall.
Next is Donald J. Riley, United States Marine Corps, Afghanistan. His parents, grandparents, sister, nephew, and friend are here to accept the citation.
There you go. Give me a hand, Donald.
Thank you.
Donald is a graduate of Foxborough High School, graduated a year before my youngest son, and Donald and I had not met until last week at our vigil on the Common when his mother dragged him up to meet me. As we know, our folks who have served in some of the most conspicuous and dangerous places in the world, they're not looking for recognition. They're looking to come home and just reintegrate into the community. And we're glad to see Ron Meisner back with us this evening, Teddy O'Malley, both Purple Heart recipients. Mom, thanks for dragging him here. Extended family, thanks for all being here. Thanks for your service in Afghanistan as a Marine.
The next name is Daniel J. Sylvester, United States Navy, World War II, and his daughter, Denise Sturm, is here to accept the citation.
Denise, Frank, thanks so much for coming up.
And the last recipient is Paul R. Thompson, United States Marine Corps, World War II. His daughters and family are here to accept the citation.
If you guys can reach a hand across here and grab onto it. There's probably someone out there this evening that's saying, why am I not being recognized, or why is my family member not being recognized? And I would say now is the time to reach out to the Board of Selectmen, to my office, or anyone in Town Hall, and say, we'd like to be recognized next year when you do this. That's how we came up with this list of 7 people that need to be recognized, 2 of them just this week, and we're so happy that you are all here to honor them, that our community really goes above and beyond what everybody else is doing, really does the right thing in a great way. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your service to our Purple Heart recipients.
I just want, everyone should give Michael Johns a really round of applause. He does this well, we've been doing it for 2 years now, but really he's the one that kicked it off, that what we should do is recognize our recipients. And we really owe a lot to Mike Johns. And when I tried to get in touch with him about some things, he was late at night, he was at appointments meeting with people. So we are very fortunate to have VSO Michael Johns in the town of Foxborough. So please give him a round of applause.
Thanks, Jim.
Should invite everybody to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah. So I'll make it less awkward for you that are staying in the audience. You don't have to stay. We're talking about 911 and some other stuff, so you're more than welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated.
Thank you all for coming
And
out
thank you
tonight.
all for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wait a few minutes.
Hey, you look good tonight, buddy.
How old are you? 6. Wow. Looking sharp. Remember Steve Uden used to dress like that with the vest and the tie?
Before he was elected to school committee.
You listening?
I don't know. Am I getting you called or anything like that? Am I okay, or?
Sounds like he's
I still remember when you used to dress with the vest and the tie, when you're back in the day. So did I mess? I did mess it up. Huh? Did we do Red Robin?
No.
That's right. Okay.
No, they're right after.
We're doing
Boy.
the gender in order this time. Imagine that.
You're just pointing out all my faults tonight. Where is Red Robin? I circled it.
I'd seen that too, that was a question I was gonna ask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now we get to re-ask. Why don't you ask it
No,
this
you
time?
can ask it. No, you can ask it.
Okay. Okay, actually, we're not too far off. So 7:55, we had Red Robin for discussion and a vote for the change of manager. So would you like to come up front? And this is, again, not a public hearing, but a request for a change of manager. So if you could introduce yourself and make a brief presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrew Upton, representing Red Robin, and with me is Patrick Cartier, the proposed manager of record. You may recognize him from our last hearing when we moved from one side of Patriot Place to the other. He was the manager at that time, but we had just missed the deadline for submitting the application.
Yep.
So that's to say he's been in charge for a few months. He actually came with us when the landlord and I met with the chief of police to discuss the move. So he's very familiar with the town. He's very familiar with the sale and service of alcohol. He's been in the restaurant industry for many years and with the Red Robin for almost 5 years. So we hope you consider him to be highly qualified for this job, and we're glad to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Cartier, would you want to add anything, or you're okay?
Perfectly fine. Just want to thank you very much for the opportunity to move locations and be part, continue to be part of the Foxborough town.
Okay. Well, thank you.
How did the move go? All good?
Yes, it was definitely quick, but we got everything moved, and we're open, ready to go now. So.
Very good. Okay, discussion from the board, questions?
No, just, I'll say it for you if you want.
Oh, yeah, and I if I can pull back the last guy, I apologize, asking that he didn't fill out the form correctly. It was actually you that didn't fill out the form correctly. On the background information, there's one question: have you been convicted of a state, federal, or military crime? And if so, you needed to have affixed an affidavit, and if not, you would have had to check off the box. That would be question 3.
Right here. The answer is no to that. Yes. The answer is no.
Yes, the answer is no.
The answer is no. I apologize for the error.
Okay.
We're glad to check that off right now, if it's okay with you.
Okay. I don't think we have do we have the original?
No.
Okay. Well, why don't we, to probably make it easier for the paperwork, if one has a blank copy, if you could just check it off, initial it, and then we can move past it. Want to do that?
Yep.
And you're fine, Deb.
Yeah, I just checked the box off. You have it?
It just saves you a trip from coming back and to town hall later. It just saves you a trip from coming back tomorrow.
No, definitely. Thank you.
All right, and while they do that, any other questions or comments from the board?
No, other than to say I'm glad the move went well, and you're now open and live and in color.
Yes, 2 weeks. Taylor Swift concert definitely was fun.
Survived that all right?
Yes, survived that. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions.
Okay. If no more discussion or questions, we have a motion in the affirmative.
I'll make a motion, we approve Patrick Cartier as manager of Red Robin.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Motion carries 5-0. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, next on the item, for over the last, I guess, couple months, we've solicited and asked for volunteers to be part of, or volunteer for the Economic Development Committee. And So I think we advertised, we reached out, we had it at a couple meetings, and we had a good, healthy list of candidates. So in our packet, they're their names, addresses, work information, and applications with their history. So at that point, Mary Beth, you and Bill were kind of working through this process.
Correct.
You want to give an overview and a recommendation?
Sure. So first, I just want to acknowledge that I'm attempting to fill in for Bill Keegan, which we all know is very big shoes to fill during his well-deserved vacation. The town advertised in May and June for local residents and business people to serve on the Economic Development Committee. We received a number of applications, reviewed them to ensure a balance of both experience and representation around the community on this committee. Since the time of the application, a few people withdrew due to other commitments. Not all applicants on the list before you are being recommended, and the town manager has reached out to all of them. So the committee currently has 2 sitting members with terms expiring in May 2016. Mark A. Grebin Sr. of 120 Beach Street and Michael Stanton of 10 Shepherd Street. The following are the names being recommended as candidates for Economic Development Committee. Lorraine A. Brew, Stephen Coote, Daniel Krantz, Thomas Murphy, Michael G. Saig, and Kurt J. Yigian. So those are the names being presented to you this evening. The applications, letters of interest are in your packet.
Okay, so that in total 6 people, correct?
There's a total of 6 this evening.
6 plus the 2 that are on there, so 8. Yeah. Now, the 2 that are on there, we would have to reappoint them for an additional, or is their term?
No, they're through May 2016, so they're sitting members.
Okay. So, regardless of the name, so we would be appointing 6
this
people with
evening.
the same ending date? Do we want to stagger them? So we don't have
You may
6
wanna
people
do
ending at the same time?
overlapping terms.
Yeah.
Is that the total number that is gonna be on the committee, 8?
I believe there's going to be one more opening. There was an area that was identified that we're trying to round it out as far as experience. You know, looking for finance, engineering, marketing, entrepreneurship, real estate. Those are the kind of backgrounds we were looking for. So I think that we talked about maybe marketing, one person.
Yeah, I had reached out to somebody that I thought would have, that has a marketing background, and she's interested, so I will tell her to fill out an application.
If you can give us the information, because the ad came down, the application's not so easy to find.
Oh, okay.
So we can email the
Okay.
application.
All right.
Mary Beth, we have like the Rotary in Foxborough, we have the Lions Club, we have Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
All those organizations have small business owners in them, or
Mhm.
business owners. Do you think it would be worthwhile for maybe at their next meetings, like maybe the selectmen go to the meeting and just say a few words about the Economic Development Committee, soliciting like a few more members or at least one more member?
That would be great, and it would also be great for, a member of this committee to go to the chamber events as well. I think that's a great idea.
I mean, I've no problem.
I'm sorry.
What? I mean, are any of you guys on either Lions, Rotary, Chamber?
Bill and I attended a chamber
I am in
event.
Providence, but that's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just because they usually, I think Rotary, does Rotary meet weekly or
I think it's monthly.
monthly? And I know Lions meets
Mhm.
weekly.
Bill and I recently attended a chamber event, and they were very welcoming to
Yeah.
Foxborough.
I mean, can I contact the
Oh,
organizations
absolutely.
and ask
Yep.
if I can say a few words?
Yep, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yep. Encouraged.
That'd be great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Well,
and
here's a
then-
suggestion, if there's going to be 9, and the 2 incumbents have 1 year remaining, right?
Mhm.
And plus the 1.
Right.
Why don't we make them the 1 year?
The one-year people.
Right.
It's a great idea.
Then, I mean, we can just go in order. It's, I don't think there's any preference, but, we can go Lorraine, Stephen Coote, and Dan Krantz
2.
as 3.
3-year, okay.
And then Tom Murphy, Mike Say, and Kurt Yajan as 2.
That sounds
That
great.
works.
Yeah. Good idea.
Besides Mike Stanton, who was the other,
So these
besides Mike Stanton, who's the other person who's already on the committee?
are, Mark A. Grebin Senior.
Grebin, Grebbin?
Mhm.
Thank you.
And if you recall, Sharon Wasson was the other member of the
Right.
committee.
Now, is Bill or yourself or anybody from this board gonna be on this committee, or how's that gonna work?
What, from an ex officio point
We
of view?
would, we would serve as an ex officio, and I believe that we were gonna ask David to serve as well.
Yeah, David had emailed and expressed interest about a month ago.
Mhm.
And I was thinking he was actually gonna be on the committee, so, but as a liaison or an ex,
Right.
I think that would be appropriate.
That was gonna be the selectman's
Yep.
representative. And we're, I assume that the town planner, the planning director that we hire will also be on the committee as an ex officio.
Mhm.
Want to have a crack at this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint the following Economic Development Committee candidates for a term of 3 years, commencing which date?
May 2016 are the 2 incumbents and the new person.
Well, I'm gonna start from now
Yes.
and work backwards.
Okay, so you would be looking at 2019 for,
For a term expiring June 30th, 2019,
does that make sense? 2018, I'm sorry.
2018, 2017.
Yep,
2016,
2018
okay.
would be the 3 years.
All right, I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint the following candidates to a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2018. Lorraine A. Brew of 126 Mechanic Street in Foxborough, Stephen Coote of 8 Windsor Drive in Foxborough, and Daniel Krantz of 43 Hickory Lane in Stowe, Massachusetts. Also for a term expiring June 30th, 2017, Thomas Murphy, 5 Bicknell Street in Foxborough, Michael Saig, 8 Kendall Drive in Foxborough, and Kurt Yagian, 5 Oakwood Terrace in Foxborough. And for a term expiring June 30th, 2016, Mike Stanton, Mark Grabin, plus 1 player to be named later.
Mhm.
And I don't have their addresses.
Grebin is 120 Beach Street, and Stanton is 10 Shepherd Street.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Just under discussion, I wanted to recognize, I see Lorraine back there, and I wanted to say thank you. I don't know if you wanted to say something, but I'm happy that you're on this committee. You've been on a whole bunch of committees, and to come back and be on this, I think it's wonderful. This is one committee that I think we talk about, and it just never gets anywhere, but this group, with your institutional knowledge and the history, I think there's a lot of stuff coming down the pike that this group of people can do a lot of work with, so.
I think it's a really great time to be looking, at getting a group to refocus on the topic and, bringing in a lot of people, and we'll have a new planning director also to participate.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for the town and development everywhere, so.
Well,
Thank
thank you for your volunteer time.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, so 5-0 carries. Do we want to make a formal vote on acknowledging David as the liaison or ex officiato? Anyone make a motion?
I make a motion that we appoint David as the ex officiato of the
Officio.
officio of the economic.
Still trying to say
Development
vigilance.
Committee.
I can't say it.
I'll second that.
For a term of?
For a term of
Until we
3
unappoint him.
or, yeah, until
Is this
we,
your 1 year? Say probably 2. Yeah, 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
of 2017.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Welcome to the club.
Thank you very much, David.
Ex officio club.
And Mary Beth, thanks for putting that all together.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
no problem.
It's been a
Three
long,
amigos.
been a long day. I've been up since 3.
Oh my God, look at the time, 8:15, and we got 8:15 on the agenda.
Did you catch up?
This is unbelievable. We had, Chief O'Leary, do you want to discuss the Smart 911? And just my,
Sure, that you'll continue on the expedited
Yep,
track.
10
Yeah,
minutes.
I get it. We got 10 minutes, but we saw you out in the pouring rain. Sorry for that. You guys had so much set up, and it was a disaster tonight with the rain and the thunder and lightning.
Certainly, the effort Linda Walsh had put into it is the leadership from the J.C.'s, and as we were finishing up tonight, you'll probably see an announcement that sometime in September, we're going to try and recreate something just down at the Public Safety Building.
Okay.
Because we had a wide variety of people that would have had information for maybe families in need, especially concerning the opioid addiction. So we'll be working on that next week, and we'll have something to give out to the community within 2 weeks, I'm hoping, for a future event in September.
Okay. And if you can let us, and Linda does a good job letting us know too, so we can.
Joe
be
Garrity
there.
will be very happy that you're gonna reschedule something.
Well, I'm sure he will be.
Yeah.
Okay, Smart 9/11?
Earlier this year, myself and Mr. Keegan had been meeting with a group that was champion Smart 9/11, and thanks to some budget reallocations, we were able to sign a contract with this company. A critical component of our town's emergency response is getting the right information at the right time, that we're receiving information that can help the caller that very often in a time of crisis doesn't really know how to ask for help or identify particular information that's critical to what types of resources is sent out. The program that we've enrolled in would allow residents ahead of time to provide information about medical conditions, certain situations that are ongoing in the family, to Smart 911. And then when a call comes into the center using our 911 lines, that information is going to show up on a screen for our dispatchers to know what particular situations are there, so that responders have upfront information instead of going to houses cold, so to speak, without having advanced knowledge. Now, this information is gathered and is used by a private company. We don't hold on to it. We don't have knowledge of it until the person actually calls to use the 911 system. And as such, the dispatch staff would be learning about the various specifics of a particular family. That way, it reduces the chance that when the call is over, that information would be held over or within the public system at all. We're in the process now of being one of the communities with the state E911 system to go to the next generation, which is also receiving the wireless calls to our dispatch center. And as part of the program, we would also have community outreach from Smart 911 that would encourage people for the reasons to join. And I'll just pass out for the board's review some of the material that they'll be providing to our community as part of an overall process to enhance 911 and sending out messages to those people that have enrolled at no cost, because the community itself is bearing the cost for them to participate. And that's why we're going to be encouraging people, once we have the technology up and running, to join this service. For those communities that have already enrolled residents, for example, I believe Somerville is one of the communities. If somebody from Somerville happens to be at a stadium event and they called, we would be getting that information at our call center, because that cell phone is the closest to our center, and we'd have that access to that information even from visitors in the community, so long as their community is also enrolled in it. And finally, again, I mentioned that we're going to be going to the next generation of 911 so that our cell phones in this area will be coming direct to our center. Also works very well with the transition that they've made in other communities. So I just wanted to update the board as to where we're going to enhance our ability for our dispatchers to send help in the time of a critical incident in someone's family.
So, did I hear you at the beginning, you said you've already signed the contract?
Right.
Okay.
We've been looking at different vendors, and we felt that this would be a good additive to the services that we currently provide.
Okay.
Chief, so if someone is in distress and they're at the stadium and they call, how do you connect them with their data? Is it in their phone or is it part of this service?
It's part of the service that has already been uploaded, and because we're one of those communities that has the capability, when that 911 call comes in to our center, it will provide that data through a match that they have of somebody that's registered, even though they're from another community.
But is it the telephone that is the connection? What makes it connect?
Well, because you're giving your cell phone, you're giving your cell phone number and various aspects about both your permanent address as well as information about your family at that permanent address.
Now, if there's a call, and you said that the data that they're traveling with, the responders have this in their minds as they're answering a call. But if they learn something new about the patient or the family, would that then flow back into the network? Would they build on it?
Twice a year, the company goes out and recontacts all the particular people that have signed up with an inquiry. Was there any changes in the information that you've provided or anything you want to update? It's done proactively to try and make sure that the information that our dispatchers and other dispatchers would be getting have been brought up to date.
Okay, so it's up to the individual. It's not...
Right. It's entirely on the individual to provide the information.
So Chief, this program, the Smart 911, is strictly cell phone?
It would also capture landline data.
Okay, so you would have to register both your landline and your cell phone number?
Right, I would have both.
Okay.
You know, at the screen to put data in, you probably have multiple phone options. Some people do carry 2 cell phones, I know.
Right now, from your cell phone, if you call 911, it goes to the state police, right?
Goes to the State Police Center up in Framingham.
Okay, and you said that if eventually, if we're in Foxborough, it would automatically go to you guys if you're signed up for this, or?
No, the phone calls are going to come to Foxborough once the next generation is online and up and running. So those calls will come directly here.
Even if you're not signed up for
Even
this?
if you're just driving on
Okay.
95 and 495
makes
in
a lot
our
of sense.
geographic location.
Yep, that makes a ton
And the
of
next
sense.
generation will also target information about location within so many yards of a particular site.
That's good. That's real good.
Can that also be reversed so that, say, someone was lost or something, they have their cell phone, you have their cell phone number, and you can you get their location by the GPS in the cell phone or something?
There's a possibility on a ping for the cell phone carrier to try and locate somebody by that methodology. I don't want to commit because I haven't heard them talk about that potential in any presentation that they've made. But in a rapidly evolving technology, the potential is there. I will give just an example of that. On Saturday evening, a young woman reported to one of the officers on duty at Patriot Place that her cell phone had been taken. She had left it in the ladies' bathroom at one of the restaurants, and it was missing. And her friend had an ability to call the girl's phone on an alert type of thing. So as other young women were leaving the restaurant
standing with the officers, she was able, on one of the people leaving, call the number. It started ringing in a young woman's bag. She pulled her own phone out and saw that it wasn't her phone, but the other phone was still ringing, and she ended up as one of our guests and recovered the phone for the victim. So.
So,
Crime doesn't pay.
can I ask you from a devil's advocate position, and I just saw the brochure just come across here, and from what I saw quickly, if you've got a little kid, you take a picture of your kid, and it's on the cell phone for future purposes to find your little kid, and you're talking about all your medical condition goes up to the cloud. If I've got somebody in the family that's a heroin addict or something, everything goes on this
as much
piece of information
as you want to share.
Okay.
There's no requirement that you have to self-disclose.
But my question is, so this company, it's a private company, where's the checks and balances that I feel comfortable I want to give my information, and then 2 years from now I'm getting a reverse call advertising for something? Where is this information going, and how is it secured? And then, if you're doing it in Foxborough, and someone had come up to me and asked this question or brought this to my attention, it goes on the billboard, on the screen at Gillette Stadium that says, here's a good idea, hit this number and sign up for this. You get a lot of people to do it at 70,000 a whack, and all of a sudden you get this big database that we're telling people this is a good thing. Where's the checks and balance where that data goes with this company down the road?
Well, it's owned by a group called RAVE, and they have a track record in running this operation across the country for several, at least 5 years that I'm aware of. And I know that I do not, nor do I think any government agency should be collecting personal information. I want it available if we're in a critical situation for that family, but once that situation is resolved, I don't want to be responsible for it. And I feel that in some cases private industry does have the capability with the protections and awareness that somebody could try and hack them to try and protect people's data.
And is this, do you know enough, is this a company that's competitive? Are there 5 vendors out there offering the same thing, or is this the monopoly that
It's kind of a unique system. Most of their work has been done on college campuses, and they've branched out now into municipal governments and state governments across our country.
Okay. And what's the acronym that you use? RAVE?
RAVE stands for RAVE Mobile Safety. And the Smart 911 is one of the subdivisions.
Okay.
Where that's dealing with phones and cell phones, are they regulated by any government agency on anything? Is it a private type of company?
Off the top of my head, I believe they are,
FCC.
but it would be the FCC, as Mr. Gray indicated.
So you've signed the contract and
Right.
you're going forward. This discussion is for information, approval? Information?
For the
Okay.
board to have.
Yep.
It was signed, in conjunction with the town manager. We discussed it. We also thought about some of the issues that you've brought up. But I thought it was important for the community to also know that we're trying to enhance our abilities when we're responding to their homes with this information.
Chief, what's the plan to get this information out to the community to let them know that this service is available?
Well, again, they have a marketing team that would provide information.
So RAVE will do this on their own?
Excuse me?
Who's going to sort of, solicit new business from a household?
I guess I don't understand the question.
How am I going to learn about this program?
Probably through our Facebook page when we get ready. I'm informing the board of where we're headed, but the particulars will be fleshing out based on strategies that they've used in other communities, so that we can make sure that we're reaching a wide variety of populations, from people with young children to senior citizens that are empty nesters and might be on their own, through human services, through talking with the school department, and different other venues, Cablevision, different ways that the public will learn about it and hopefully take advantage of it.
Chief, what was the cost of the contract, and is it a yearly contract?
The initial contract was $14,000, and then there's a yearly maintenance fee of $9,000.
And that will be in the police budget?
It will be incorporated in the central dispatch budget going forward.
So people on, everybody has their choice. They have a choice whether they want to sign up for this or not.
Absolutely.
And then it's up to each individual's person to find out on their own, figure out how their the data that they're uploading onto the system is going to be secured.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if all goes forward with the contract, is this tomorrow, 6 months? How
Well-
long is it gonna take for the process to go forward, so?
I would say late October, because there's some technology aspects that we have to address in the mid part of this month. I do, on support things, we're gonna lose some time from mid-August to mid-September. And that's due to the number of major events that we're having in a cascading fashion that ties up most of our disposable time. And then we'll get back on track with several projects.
Okay.
But this is an annual contract? I mean,
Yes, it
are
is.
we obligated for a certain number of years?
Right, 3-year term. So it'll be the initial operation and 2 successive years with it.
So if somebody signs up in Foxborough and then we decide, or you decide not to renew the contract in 3 years, the program ends, so if.
Potentially.
Potentially.
But it's no cost to the subscriber.
Right, there's no.
Oh, yeah. I'm just thinking that data that's out there, you're gonna have to either, if you decide with a different vendor or
Right.
whatever, you'd have to recreate it again, something like that. Not to put you on the spot, but since you're playing town manager today, were you
Yes.
involved in the discussions?
I did. I sat in on
Okay.
the initial meeting, and I happen to live in a community that also has, or I did live in a
Yeah.
community that had this. And I think it does provide dispatch with that extra information, again, dependent on what you put in. You can notify them of a pet or a handicapped person, or is there a weapon in the house? I've seen it used to the advantage. I'm not sure, fire, I think fire would also benefit from it, knowing what a medical condition is going in, so having a paramedic. I think the program grows richer. I think we had a small usership in the town I was in, but I think as the other towns come on, from the meeting we went to, I think Framingham was signing
Right.
on. Some of the bigger communities, as they sign on, becomes more popular,
Yeah.
and can probably envision a day. I remember the salesperson saying that his dream would be to have it up on the scoreboard at Gillette Stadium to say, you're safe here if you're one of these
Sure.
subscribers.
Yeah.
So maybe someday that'll assist with the rescue and assistance of people at the stadium.
It's certainly forward-thinking. I sound negative, but
No.
if I had the option to sign up for this, I probably would, just better safe than sorry, and, but part of me always is a little cautious of where my data
Just
is.
gotta be careful what information you put out there.
Mhm.
Right.
Very good.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary Beth, you want to add the town manager update?
Sure. I'll keep it brief because we're running ahead. Some of the things you already touched on, marking your calendars for the joint meeting between the Permanent Municipal Building Committee and the Board of Selectmen next week. The committee's ready to update the board on the town hall project. We'd like to roll out some introduce options, get feedback. You already mentioned that we're going to have more detail about the Sharon Wasson Memorial Pavilion, but I wanted to mention that there was a nice article in Sunday's Boston Globe. And anyone interested in donating money, time, or materials should contact Tracy Vasili at 508-838-6603. We're currently working closely with the library trustees on the library director recruitment. We have the first round of interviews next week, and we're working with the planning board on the planning director search. That job is posted, closes on August 21st. And also to reiterate, but not, I wanted to just give a special shout out to Randy Scollins and his team. On Monday, the Standard & Poor affirmed the town's AA+ rating, and they cited things such as the town's very strong economy, town's management, budget performance, liquidity, and budgetary flexibility. So I just want to give a great shout out to Randy and his staff for how hard they work on that. That's all that I have.
And I think it would be helpful, I mean, for me anyways, to have a 5-minute where Randy comes in, because a lot of the summary stuff, a little question and answer would be helpful, because there's between the bonds and the projects going out and coming in and the yearly budgets, Randy does a nice job keeping it simple and kind of broad. Are you guys okay with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, it'd be good to see how this AA rating translates into right into your tax bill, because on large construction projects, the cost of money goes down considerably.
Right, going out for borrowing, the impact on that, yeah.
And he had said to get to the AAA, it's achievable, but there's things that the town has to do, so it'd be nice to hear what those are.
We currently have some policies in play, someone working on financial policies. I know that was an area that he wanted to improve upon, so there are a lot of things in the works to work toward that AAA.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, not only is it going to be to our benefit, but also the public, because there's a lot of questions, most people at home don't have a clue about municipal bonds and how money's borrowed for some of these long-term projects, and I think it would be good for them to understand kind of the nuances and how the bond, how our S&P rating affects the cost to borrow money. So I think it would be good.
So we'll invite Randy to give us a presentation.
Great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
All right, so that concludes our agenda. We've got a bunch of action items.
These election workers, can we approve them all as a group, or do we have to list them?
Yeah, I think we can approve them all at once. And we can have a discussion, and if anyone feels strongly that someone should not be on the list, we can discuss it. But if that's not the case, approve them all at once.
Okay.
So there's 11 items. We'll start with number 1. Appointment of, why don't you go through the action items?
Action item number 1, election workers. It's the appointment of 37 election workers with a term expiring 9/1/2016. I would like to make a motion that we approve all 37 that are on this list in front of us, the term expiring 9/1/2016.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on any of the people on this list? Okay, so
the ones that are there every year.
I just had a question. There are 2 people who don't live in the town. Is it okay? Okay.
Norton and Brockton. So, so they said it's okay, but you don't need to live in the town to be.
Yeah, Bob Cutler did, because I asked.
He did? Okay. Very good. Okay, so the motion's made to approve all of them. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2.
This is approval of a gift acceptance in the amount of $50 from Lorraine O'Brien to the Council on Aging, Human Services. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the gift with gratitude to the Council on Aging and Human Services from Lorraine O'Brien.
I'll second
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Next one is Patriots Charitable Foundation approval of 10 one-day all alcohol licenses for the Dana-Farber building on 8/13/15, 9/3/15, 9/10/15, 9/26/15, 10/24/15, 10/29/15, 11/7/15, 11/23/15, 12/5/15, and 12/19/15.
I'll second that, and I have a question on that. What's the maximum amount of one-day licenses one establishment can have in
30.
It's the number's 30? Okay, super, nice.
My only other question on that, I went up there the other day up to Patriot Place to go to Trader Joe's, and I noticed the name on the building has changed.
Yeah, I noticed that today.
Yeah. So is it not the Dana-Farber building anymore? There's a new name on the building.
The
Field House?
The field house? No.
Yeah.
I know that the Cross Pavilion was also going to be used for events, but.
Yeah, no, this is
Something like
where the
M-
Dana-Farber Field House has always
Oh.
been. It's just a new
A
name
new
on
name.
it.
It says something like Empower Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I saw something that came out from the Patriots that says something about the Empower Fieldhouse. So I don't know if we can approve this or not, but I mean, it's just a different name.
Well, is that a legal entity or just the name they give it?
It's naming rights.
Yeah, well, we could just say Dana-Farber Building or its successor.
Or, yeah, that's fine. We fine with that wording?
Can I also just call your attention to the application on the back? Some of the dates are different than what you see here on number 3. So I just want to make sure that you're approving the dates that are on here,
All right, which
not on
dates
the
are
cover
correct?
sheet.
Those are the correct dates?
These are the correct dates.
Okay.
Specifically, 9/26 should be 9/27.
I'll just redo the motion
Wanna do
with
them on
these
here?
dates
Yeah.
on the back and incorporate the
The new
building
name?
formerly known as. I would like to make a motion to approve the 10 one-day all alcohol licenses for the Dana-Farber building, or whatever the new name of it is, for the dates of 8/13/15, 9/3/15, 9/10/15, 9/27/15, 10/25/15, 10/29/15, 11/8/15, 11/23/15, 12/6/15, and 12/20/15.
Second.
The license application is actually for the New England Patriots Charitable Foundation, 2000. It just happens to be, they're gonna have it at that building, so.
Yeah, they do their pre-game
Right.
tailgate parties there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion was made and
We
seconded.
had made a
Discussion?
motion and seconded it on the first motion. Do we have to rescind that?
The first motion was different because he had the wrong
Okay.
dates, correct? So, yeah, before we get, so let's make a motion to well, why don't you just rescind your first
I
motion?
rescind the first motion I made with
Okay.
the first set of dates.
Yep. Okay, so that's off the record. So the motion with the correct dates was made, seconded. We just had discussion. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, next item number 4, from the Foxborough Planning Board. I make a motion, we approve the gift acceptance to the Sharon Wasson Memorial Fund of $500 from 16 Washington Street LLC with gratitude.
And I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion?
Thanks, Mike Stanton.
That's why
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out
Mike
who that
Stanton.
is.
Yeah, it's Mike.
Okay. Very nice.
Mike and Nancy.
Okay, motion made and seconded with gratitude. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, next one is also Foxborough Planning Board. Make a motion, the approval of a gift acceptance to Sharon Wasson Memorial Fund of $100 from William and Christina Bellinger
I'll second that.
with gratitude.
With gratitude. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And I just, Tina Bellinger has routinely made donations like this, and she stepped up. She wants to get involved in the flagpole, running that and trying to work on that, so I'm happy to see her stepping in it again. That didn't sound right, stepping in again. Stepping forward again.
It could be stepping in again.
Volunteer.
Yeah, volunteer.
All right, number 6, Foxborough Planning Department. I'd like to make a motion, we approve the gift to the Sharon Wasson Memorial Fund of $100 from Virginia Capola with gratitude.
I'll second that. Thanks, Ginny.
Yeah, thank you, Ginny. Again, another one that routinely donates.
Now, I recuse myself from that.
Okay, motion made, seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0, and Ginny recuses herself.
Okay, number 7, Recreation Department. I'd like to make the motion, we approve the gift to be used for Booth Summer Program of $300 from Mark Lane with gratitude.
Second.
I think, under discussion, I'm gonna recuse myself only because I have a relative that works at summer camp, and I think this goes to a kid to go to summer camp, so I'll just recuse myself. Motion made, seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0 and 1.
Okay, number 8, Lakeview Pavilion. I make a motion, we approve Lakeview Pavilion's 2015 all-alcohol license, entertainment, annual all-alcohol and common victualers license.
I'll second that. And just a clarification, this was, while they rebuilt their facility, wasn't this, was it suspended?
It was, no, what we did was, in
We didn't make them.
December when we did everybody.
We didn't make them renew it while they were under construction.
We had to have them do their on-premise to the state to keep their license valid for the year.
Right.
When we were at the meeting with the commuter rail at the Ahern School, you had all voted not to charge them for the 215 season.
Got it.
But once everything was up and running and.
Right, now they're resetting the
They would go
clock.
from this date forward.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
It'd be prorated.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, so the motion was made,
I'll second it.
seconded. Further discussion on the Lakeview?
So this license is basically from now until the end of the year?
Till December, yeah, till December 31st, and then they'll renew like everyone else.
Very good. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thanks, Debbie, for remembering that.
All right, number 9, another Lakeview Pavilion. I'd like to make the motion, we approve their Saturday and Sunday early openings from 12 noon until, move it from 12 noon to 11 a.m., expiring 12/31/15.
Second, a question, is this for their regular business, or is this for football games?
Yeah, we've done this in the past only because, weddings
Yeah, it's not
are
tied to- This is
not
early,
tied to
but this
the
is,
football game.
they've always done
Yeah.
this. They just
Yeah.
have to do it formally every year.
Right,
So this is going from 12 to 11.
11.
right.
Okay. Yeah, I remember there was I think this was the only one that came to mind that it wasn't tied to an event.
Right.
And it was, it just made sense.
Yeah.
Okay, motion.
Motion.
Yeah,
I
motion
seconded it.
made, seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This is from Max Performance. I make a motion, we approve the approval of the Sharon Triathlon Annual Bike Race traveling through Willow Street and East Street on August 9th, 2015.
Second.
I just had a question on this. For other races that have come through town, we have asked them to remove their signs once the race is over, so we don't have these signs up. And in the past, it's been part of the requirement.
And it is.
Is it?
Emailed that to us, and that's the one you'll see the signatures on a different page. The form he emailed, we had trouble getting it via email. He sent it twice on the 3rd time, but then everything, some of the page was cut off. That's why you'll see Roger Hill's signature on one page.
Okay.
Chief O'Leary's on the other with Roger Hill next to it.
But they are going to take down the signs?
They are gonna take
Okay.
down the signs, and it is in the application.
Oh, okay.
It's just how his emailed over. He didn't do a normal PDF, he did like boxes and stuff.
Okay.
and We had days noticed.
Yeah. Okay, that was just my, that was my only concern.
All right, so motion was made, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, we gonna take these individually, or do we wanna do the meeting minutes?
I don't mind doing what we did last time with the 6 of them. I went through them, and it was very minor stuff, so
Yep.
if it's okay with the board, we can make one motion to approve all of them. Open it up as that, and then we'll just pick whatever meeting minutes and
Okay.
pages you have issue with.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion, we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from 7/21/15, 5/26/15, 4/14/15, 2/3/15, 1/20/15, 12/8/14.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Now, any discussion on edits and changes?
Yeah, on December 8th, page 16. It says, Mr. Gray stated that Waxy's has a very sorted history, S-O-R-T-E-D.
Sordid.
It should be sordid, S-O-R-D-I-D, with emphasis.
On July 21st, page 7, I said it's going an extra 40 minutes, and that was an error, and it was corrected to 25 minutes.
Where's that, Ginny?
On the third full paragraph on page 7. This was the Taylor Swift.
Going from
I said it
11
was going an extra 40 minutes, actually going an extra 25. I was corrected as I was speaking.
Mhm.
So it should be 25 minutes. And then on page 12, it said in the, on the 5th paragraph down, here in Foxborough, the town voted in favor of medical marijuana at the annual town meeting, and it wasn't the annual town meeting, it was,
It was a ballot question.
it was the ballot question.
What was the date on that one, Ginny?
July 21st, on page 12. And actually, what was approved at the town meeting was the siting area.
So do you want to change that wording to annual election? Or just voted in favor of medical marijuana, period?
On the ballot.
One question, Ginny, was that just was that a comment by Mr. Angelo? Should that be in quotes? Although it's
That was
although
his,
it's
that
not
were
accurate,
his comments.
Although it is inaccurate, it is what he said.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to, I don't know what it is.
Couldn't we just do note this was a ballot question?
In parentheses.
Yeah,
If you put it in quotations, that kind of clears up the ambiguity.
Yeah, in other words, it's not a statement of fact, but it was what he said.
True.
Okay.
So put in quotation.
Put everything he said in quotes.
And I think putting a sort of an asterisk in there, because
Asterisk.
Ginny did clarify that point.
Yeah.
Just so the future reader of these minutes can understand that there was
Right.
a discussion on that.
Mhm.
Debbie, on the same July 21st on page 11, third paragraph up, where it says, Mr. DeBella stated, from his understanding, this is the first step that applicants must provide a letter of support and non-opposition from the municipality, and should be or. And I just had a quick one on May 26th, page 2. Just Robert Rules of Order. Change it from Robert Rules of Odor.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think that was intentional, but. That's it.
Yeah.
Again, Deb, I'll say it again, these notes are incredibly detailed.
It's a good thing.
Which is good.
I think
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
no,
good
no,
thing.
that's a good thing.
There's 5 of you and trying
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, because it's important, because you figure it's not just for us, but a year from now, 2 years from now, people are gonna be relying on these minutes. They actually wanna know what we said.
And then just doing research for some of yous from way back.
Hmm.
And, you know, not all the information was there.
Right.
I mean, this may be too much information.
No, I don't think so,
I
not
wasn't
at
saying
all.
it's too much, it's, I appreciate it.
It's never too much.
So we all set then? We need to vote on
All right,
it?
so the motion was made for all of them, under discussion, if we can incorporate all those edits. So the motion is to approve these with those edits, and it was seconded. Any more discussion and changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we had said earlier, I think we're all caught up with all the, pretty much.
Yeah, they're all typed.
Yep.
I just have to spell check the last 4, which you'll have in your packets for the next meeting, and then we're up to date. Well, you'll have 5 in your next meeting for tonight. Tonight's will be included. And then everything is up to date.
And just for a note on, when we get informational packages, they're starting to get a lot, and I think that's because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's planning board applications, there's zoning applications, there's 40Bs, there's a lot of stuff going on in Foxborough. And I think as a result, our agendas are starting to get pretty thick, so we're trying to balance it out, so we're a couple months and meetings ahead. So if there's anything that you guys want to see on the agenda, or if you think we're putting stuff on there that doesn't need to be on there, let us know. But I think next hearing is pretty full already on the 18th.
The 18th is very full. We're gonna try to include Randy to come in at some point. If
Mhm.
not the next meeting, then another one, and you wanna see Roger back in September regarding traffic, so
Yep.
we're already booking well into September.
Yeah, the 18th, I'm not gonna be here.
Oh, okay.
Neither am I. You got anybody else got a conflict?
The 18th? No.
I did. Not anymore.
Well, can we move it to another
Huh?
day? Do we?
I'm away that week, but it's one day I gotta come back anyway, so I'd rather do it on one consolidated day. So we have 3 anyways, right?
Good Lord willing.
So, just so you know, the things that we're looking on that agenda, we've got council coming in.
Council on 2 issues.
Two issues, one being the dispensary, and the other
Mhm.
one to talk about the seats going in and out of the stadium, from previous discussions we've had. I don't know if there's anything that we gotta take a vote.
I think we're gonna have more information on the Sharon Wasson Pavilion and the flagpole project.
Yeah.
At that time, I don't think it's a decision.
I was just thinking if there was anything that we had to formally vote, maybe we could put that to a different, but I don't think there's any formal votes
Yeah,
needed.
I don't think so. I think you had asked us to do regular executive session updates on contract negotiations, so
Yep.
we could wait until the early September one.
Okay.
to do that.
Okay, I think that concludes the evening. 9 o'clock.
Motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you, everybody.